promised me a party, and that's what I want.
Let's rock, baby.
What's going on, everybody? RBG here, hitting you with some rather interesting coverage. Apparently, Capcom has licensed the Devil May Cry property out to a new Chinese developer called Yongchain Game, and a little under 24 hours ago, they revealed what they've been working on, which is a new mobile RPG game. And the name of this title is called Devil May Cry Pinnacle of Combat. Now, when it was first announced, it was known as War of the Peak, but for whatever reason they changed it. And my guess is because the word war has become highly censored in today's market, including YouTube. So it was probably for the best that they changed it to be on the safe side. But anyways, this game has been in development for a little over a year. I believe back in 2017 is where they announced it, and in 2019 they released HD images of the game to coincide with DMC 5's release. But everything else about the game regarding its gameplay and release date was pretty opaque. Like, we barely even got an idea of how this game would even function on a mobile device. But after nearly 2 years, we finally have some clues. As you can see, this title is going to be heavily based off of the third entry in the Devil May Cry series called Dante's Awakening, while pulling from some of the other entries. And I don't think this only applies to the main canon, because we see a brief shot of what seems to be the amusement part from the reboot. And I think that's dope, man. If the game is gonna borrow from various lore in the mythos, then why not borrow from all of it? Like, the stages in DMC Devil May Cry were the highlights in the game, so it's gonna be interesting seeing how far they go with it, because those particular areas have some pretty wacky concepts to them. Anyways, something that completely blows me out of the water is how good the game looks in motion, because initially I thought the HD images they provided looked too good to be a mobile game, but after seeing the game in action, I'd go so far as to say they look better than the original DMC 3 game in certain aspects. And I don't want you guys to think I'm downright shitting on Devil May Cry 3, but that particular game wasn't necessarily lauded for its visuals. Technology has obviously come a long way in terms of graphics, and this game basically adds on to some of the things Devil May Cry couldn't pull off back then. The textures look really amazing, and I'm digging the motion blur they've added to Dante's attacks. Speaking of his attacks, I just want to point out that some of the iconic moves have been replicated frame by frame. Some of the obvious moves include Dante's Million Stab and Stinger, along with some of his special gunslinger attacks. And those were all the moves I expected them to include. But what I didn't expect them to do is go out of their way to add some new moves. Like, you see Dante perform a Million Stab in mid-air, which is something I always wanted. Like, the devs working on this game are undoubtedly real fans of the series, because even though this is a mobile game, everything still has that balls to the wall action feel to it. The combos still look insane, and they've been adding some extra effects to make some of the moves look more effective. Like in this particular instance where Dante does his usual 4-hit combo, you notice that he holds the last strike and it looks more impactful than ever. DMC fans who also happen to love mobile games are gonna have a field day with this one. But with that said, some of the more advanced Devil May Cry players won't necessarily like it, because apparently the developers are going to be toning down the advanced combat system. Chain Games basically went on record and assured that the system has been simplified and optimized without compromising on the system's depth. And let's be honest, we already knew this was coming because mobile games are meant to be user friendly so that the player stays invested. Not to mention that since it's mainly touchscreen, they had no other way but to tone it down. So I don't really mind that. Like, I wasn't expecting this game to be on the same level as Hideaki Itsuno's team level of combat. Hell, I don't even think he could pull that off on a mobile device. So yeah. But something I'm curious about is exactly how much mobility and free control we'll have, because Dante seems to be moving as freely as he does in the original games. We see him walking around as he shoots his dual pistols, performing trickster dodges and whatnot. I'm guessing there'll be some kind of mock analog to give you freedom to move freely, like some of the emulators have, but who knows. What we do know is that all the iconic moves will be present and accounted for, like the air hike, gunslinger aiming, and even DMC Devil May Cry's Nephilim dodge. And to top it off, there will be 3 playable characters at launch, and most likely the other 2 characters will be Lady and Virgil, because we already saw them in the first official trailer. And I just want to note that this will be the first time Virgil will be playable in a DMC game at launch. It's become a trend for him to be playable after the vanilla game has been released, but we'll immediately get a chance to play him in this game. The background story, similar to the original lore, traces back to the origins of how Dante and his brother were born to a demon father and human mother. It says, and I quote, "A swordsman Sparta loved a human and gave birth to twins, Virgil and Dante. Virgil and Dante's mom was sacrificed in a war when they were just kids. After this scenario, Dante started to hate the demon part of him and started to act against the demon, while Virgil hated himself for being weak, so he'd seek to achieve more demon power. As a result, their desires clashed with each other and they fought high and low in their crossing paths. So as you can see, they won't be shying away from the story we're all familiar with, and I'm assuming they'll have multiple cutscenes with English audio because it's become a staple in the series. Because if you didn't know, almost every game was exclusively dubbed in English and not Japanese. The devs wanted to keep things very authentic and they only provided subtitles to their Eastern market. It wouldn't be until Devil May Cry 4 Special Edition and Part 5 where they break that tradition and start dubbing the games in Japanese, because prior to that they had the anime, which was available in both English and Japanese. But anyways, it says the Devil May Cry Pinnacle of Combat uses an instant zone map system similar to games such as Dragon Nest. Players will be able to perform moves such as active dodging, air jump, parry, switching weapons in battle, and more. There's still no confirmation on if the game will be released worldwide or not. Usually when it comes to Chinese games, they like to keep it exclusively to that specific region. Like, I remember when they acquired the license to produce a Transformers game called TF Online, you couldn't play it outside of that respective area unless you had a Chinese account. I'm hoping they release it to the Western audience as well because they'd make even more money. DMC has a huge fan base in the US and we'd love to play the game on the go. Not to mention that the game will have online features such as PvP, so that's something new to the franchise, and I for one would enjoy doing battle with other players around the world. But anyways guys, what do you think of this news? Are you even interested in a mobile DMC game? And do you think it'll be released worldwide? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I'd appreciate it if you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on my channel. But if you really enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it if you shared it on social media outlets with all your friends and followers. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I will catch you guys later. Peace out.